How are you?
I'm oop, background. I'm good. How are you?
It's good to see your beautiful face, honey. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
All right,
Yeah,
so you need to tell us about what are you doing? What are you working on with Libertude, your organization? What's happening in the world for you?
well, uh, I mean, everyone's doing really big things in this community, so I feel a little pressured. But Libertude, but Libertude, well, I'll give a little background. Libertude is an organization I started with my friends around 2020 when everything George Floyd, a lot of things were going on culturally. And I think my friends and I just had this almost a knee jerk response to want to help and contribute in any way possible. And I think that the biggest thing for me was understanding that the things that we were fighting against were not using, police brutality as an example. That is a symptom of a larger problem.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest things with Libertude is that I always wanted to attack the root cause in any way that I can, or at least highlight the root cause. Um, Although it's definitely a big undertaking. Um, so right now, so we definitely started with friendly fridges, which was something that also erupted in the past 5 years. What like a free food distribution program, just helping out houseless people and just people who didn't have as much access to nutrition. And
And tell, is this in the Jersey area, New York area? Where
this
was
was
this?
in like New York, New Jersey area,
Okay.
also tri-state area, and there we would. And also, one of the biggest things was that we were spreading the word to encourage people and show people that they could also take this into their own hands.
Mhm.
And these are fridges that are around in every state, every city. So, we are setting an example, but you can also help your community in this way. And I think that was one of the things that we took advantage of was using the digital platform to spread the word about small ways that you can help your community as well. But I think right now, I have to say that we are going through a little bit of a restructuring. I want to I think one of the biggest things in doing that work that I realized is that it can sometimes feel like a big, big undertaking.
Mhm.
So I wanted to find a new way to attack and a new way to contribute. So we are a little behind the scenes on that element, but I'm still very, excited about putting forward a philanthropic effort to the world and just having, as much as I love my artistic side as well, also
Mhm.
not forgetting my philanthropic side and just the different ways that I can contribute a positive impact on the world. But that's Libertude. But I also definitely wanted to come here today to just also show my appreciation because I feel like you've definitely walked me many steps of the way with these different endeavors that I've taken on. You introduced me to Tammy. And then also just the several, Zoom calls we'll have and
Mhm.
just me venting about my dissatisfaction with the state of the world and you just listening and receiving and being a sounding board and also offering opportunities that I could help when I can and just helping push along these ideas I've had and I've come to you with, even when I do feel that sense of like it's all too much. I don't know
Mhm.
how I can keep on going in this type of thing being so young. But I think that one of the biggest things that we've always resonated on is our respect for indigenous wisdom, indigenous culture, and tradition in that way, and our disdain for the extremely, corporatist, capitalist world that we live in that does take advantage of a lot of different populations around the
Mhm.
world for profit and for things of that nature. So, I mean, I just always appreciated being able to talk with you and be inspired by the work that you do. And even the way that we met through my sister on wind farms.
Yes, we met in Haiti. Yeah.
Yeah, we met in Haiti because Eden was doing her project towards, I would say women's health and women's empowerment in Haiti, and you were there for that. So I don't know, I definitely just really appreciate it, and I am excited to see where Her Many Voices grows, how we can keep connecting, and when Libertude comes out of its cocoon a little, um, just the different possibilities that can be used to benefit the planet, honestly.
I know you mentioned a little bit earlier that the connection with Tammy, and we're talking about Tamer Kantav. And Tammy she's been my rock, my partner in all of the Haiti projects, as you know.
Hmm.
And she sits on our board, and her world is about financial literacy.
Hmm.
And and so we did do that partnership with Libertude, where she came in and she did a series with you
Yeah,
guys
we
on
did.
financial
We
literacy.
did.
And it's that kind of work that truly makes a difference. Educating people who are not a part of the 1%
Hmm.
on how we can empower ourselves and our communities and take care of each other
Yeah.
by having an understanding of
And
what it means to educate ourselves around the financial world.
right,
And everybody has that opportunity.
right, right. And I definitely think that one of the biggest things with marginalized communities is economic empowerment. So
Mhm,
that was definitely one of the reasons I wanted to use Libertude to highlight education, because I think one of the biggest things about the modern world is um, not the fact that we don't always have access, but the fact that we don't have education to know what
mhm.
to do when we have those things. And
Right.
I just know for myself and for a bunch of other young people, people my generation, um, we'll come into money but also lose it,
Mhm,
or not know
mhm,
how to multiply it, and then that just trickles down because eventually, we do create the next generation and we want to take certain loads off, or we want to open them up to different opportunities. And I think the fight is just how do we do that? And that's a part of what I don't want to say process, like that's a part of the mission to me,
mhm,
is educating. I think one of the biggest things to me also has always been sovereignty and agency, personal agency,
mhm,
because I'm really big on my independence.
mhm,
I'm really big on my independence and like walking to the beat of my own drum. So, and for those who are also on that beat, and I think the biggest thing coming from a marginalized community as well is how being forced to walk to someone else's beat, and whether that beat is painful or
mhm,
brutalizing or disenfranchising to an entire community. So, I think it's just about reshaping the narrative and reshifting the paradigm to a certain degree.
mhm,
Like for so long, it's been these group of people have almost a caste system to a certain degree.
right.
It's been a little bit of a caste system. And I think that's why we're to what's the word? I want to say destructure, but
Mhm,
yeah, like disintegrate the structure that has kept all these people in this type of position, honestly.
yeah,
And I feel
yeah,
like it's one of
definitely.
those things. Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like it's one of those things that speaks for itself.
Mhm.
So things that we've witnessed in the larger culture, things that when you talk about it, you automatically know what's being talked about. So,
It's definitely a time of deconstruction for the planet,
mhm,
right? We've got to rebuild because all of the things that we have been doing,
mhm,
they clearly are not working.
mhm,
And now the recognition is that they're not working for almost everybody on the planet.
mhm,
Where before, oh, we're going to keep it status quo because some of us are still working. It's
mhm,
still working for some of us, I should say.
yeah,
And now across the board, there's a ripple effect. It is being felt globally. And
mhm,
so we need to make those changes. It is deconstruct time to rebuild just across the board. And, I'm excited about, I have to say, my heart truly feels full every time we have a conversation
yeah,
because you, to me, are one of those power of examples. You, to me, are a leader. You get to be a mentor. It's not just an age thing, right? I look at you and I gain so much from our conversations. And then I recognize there are certain things that I need to adjust in order to move forward
Mm,
because of the exchanges that we've had. And I know we've done financial literacy with indigenomics, and we will continue. When
mm,
you guys are ready, we will do that again. But I'm also looking forward to, I know that we've spoken about, with her many voices, acquiring land in the upstate New York area and being able to work with you around food sovereignty for our desert communities that are in the city.
right,
Because the reality is, when you live in big cities like that, oftentimes you don't have access to real food.
right.
And when you go to the supermarket, you're going to pay a whole lot more money
Mm-hmm.
because they're having to pay more money for rent and keeping people on staff.
Mm,
So there's that access that is denied to people who are the underserved population.
mm-hmm.
Oftentimes it's people of color, right? But
Mm-hmm.
certainly the underserved populations. So we will have an opportunity to work again in that arena too when we're on that side. Yeah.
Which is extremely exciting for me because I gardening and
Mhm.
just I love that exchange. And that's one of the, as well as like on the one side, I hate a food desert, but on the other
Mhm.
side, I'm completely inspired just even by the ability to get my hands in the dirt. I think
Mhm.
that that's one of the biggest things that has been taken from us living in these metropolitan cities is
Right.
a disconnect from the earth and a disconnect from, and that's part of the problem. It's like we it's so funny how in these modern societies we're so disconnected that we don't even remember the fact that we have this intuitive bodily knowledge. You don't even have to. When I first started gardening, I really didn't know what I was doing, but I came up with this in by like 4 or 5 months later, I had this flourishing garden because it's just it's it's intuitive. It's
Mhm.
inherent. We are creatures of the earth. The plants are creatures of the earth. We're all children of the earth. So part of our DNA is knowing how to take care of the earth. That's probably the
Mhm.
things that are the most easiest to us, like versus like knowing how to code. It's like also beautiful, but there is such a beauty in the simple honor of the earth.
Yes,
Like
we need to connect. We need to
people
plug in
as far
because
as like sorry, and just in terms of
Mhm.
connection to all living things, plants are living things, animals are living things, humans are living things.
Yes.
And I think that the earth is a living thing, the water is a living thing. And I think that our relationship to the way that we treat the earth, and it's not just like climate, it's also community. Like,
Mhm.
because they are also children of the earth. They are also just as much as the plants are something that we should care for, is as much as the people are something that we should care for, as much as the animals are something that we should care for, and
Right.
honor that and reestablish those principles of love and respect and unity and you know
Yes,
so
trees, plants, they're not fighting with each other.
right,
They
they're not
recognize this is symbiotic relationship,
right,
and they're speaking to each other and speaking to us on a regular basis if we stop and we listen.
right.
So thank you for that reminder, because we do need to plug in, literally plug in to
To
Mother
each
Earth.
other.
We've got to recharge, we've got to listen.
Mm,
We're getting messages constantly,
mm-hmm,
but we are so preoccupied with what we've got in our own heads and what we
mm,
think should happen and
mm,
all of the distractions of the world. We
mm-hmm,
forget. And when
mm-hmm,
we forget, we disconnect.
mm-hmm,
It is time to remember. It is time to reconnect.
mm-hmm.
It's time to engage in that way. It's time to collaborate. That's what we're here for. We're here to support each other. So,
Absolutely.
Selah, thank you. Thank you, sweetheart, for joining us today. And I'm looking forward to, I know you're joining us on Earth Day as
Yes.
well. So we're looking forward to hearing what you have to share around that. Is there something in particular or some way we can reach out to you or
Yes, right
Libertude?
now on Libertude, you can connect through our Instagram. We're still working
Okay.
on building a website, but our Instagram is Land of Libertude. So,
Land of Libertude.
yeah.
Okay. Thank
All
you
right.
so
Well,
much,
thank you.
Sudat. It's such
Pleasure
a
is mine.
blessing to spend some time with you today.
Yes, absolutely,
Thank,
absolutely.
thank you, thank you. Oh, and Tammy's writing in. It's so good to find your purpose in life and to identify the like-minded individuals along the way. With her many voices, my vision continues. Thank you all. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, thank you. All
Thank you.
right. Thanks, Selah. Have a beautiful day.
All right. I'll
And
talk.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks. I'll be back in New York in a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. We'll see you soon. All right. I think next up, do we have Tawani Clark ready to go? Is Tawani coming in? Um, I know initially we were going to have Chet come in and he asked to switch spots. So I'm hoping that it was okay to switch the two of you up.
Hi.
Oh, we don't have Tawani. We have Aisla.
I am super close, but totally different. I Hi, everybody. So I'm just gonna pop in real quick,
Okay.
and say one of the things we're doing today is as a celebration is if you want to donate to support Her Many Voices,
Hmm.
super cool. You could donate $13 to celebrate 13 years. Like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it obviously, we are so excited by all the other support, and we do need to pay a couple bills, you know? And
Yes,
I
we
think
got to keep the
Juani's
lights
here
on, right?
now,
What's that?
so I'll give you the main act.
Okay, good. We have Tawani back now. Thank you for that reminder because you know me, I will go through the entire program and forget to mention, hey, listen, guys, we need financial support because we just do.
Well, because it's not what you're focused on. You're focused on doing the work. It's why you get it done, and I love that about you. It's like it's I think it's a great feature. So I'll just be here to say, if you have a moment, we'd love to have that, and I'll pop that link in the YouTube and all that. And I'm super
Oh.
ready for Tawani to come in because I know she's way more interesting.